At the heart of Dune is a story about messianic prophecy and salvation. Why would this tale, filled with ancient religious symbolism, be so popular in our modern secular world? Just a quick reminder to like and subscribe as it helps the channel greatly. Now, back to the video. When we meet Paul Atreides, he is a young man of two worlds. He is the future Duke of House Atreides, as well as part of the lineage of the Bene Gesserit. The Bene Gesserit is a secretive sisterhood who have unique powers, particularly their ability to use the voice. The voice is a mysterious ability that holds power and influence over people. The Bene Gesserit's goal is to bring forth the Kwisatz Haderach through their breeding program. Kwisatz Haderach is an individual prophesied to have extraordinary prescient abilities, surpassing even those of the Bene Gesserit themselves, enabling him to see paths of the future. The Bene Gesserits believe Kwisatz Haderach will guide and influence human evolution, steering it towards what they believe will be a more enlightened and controlled future. Well, the voice is a curious piece of symbolism. It's an echo of the idea of logos. Logos is an ancient concept that speaks to the idea of divine order through the word. A motif prevalent in many religions and philosophical traditions, including Christianity, where the Logos is identified with Christ, the divine word made flesh and fully embodied. Logos can be understood as our ability to bring forth order through articulation. The presence of the voice in Dune is a powerful force in the narrative. The Bene Gesserit's mission is to bring forth this super being who can lead them. They have cultivated the power of the voice, which seems to come from a mysterious and unknown place. Not only that, but they seem to know that wherever the power of the voice comes from has more potential to it that can be realized through the embodiment of Kwisatz Haderach. So we have the voice, a symbol of the Logos, divine order, which points to a power that has the potential to be realized in the form of a super being. This super being is an embodiment of all this higher potential who brings the promise of a transformational era. Then we have Arrakis, the desert planet that has been mined for spice, which is the resource that allows space travel along with providing health benefits and prescient abilities. The people of Arrakis believe in the prophecy of a messianic figure who will bring salvation to their planet, which in essence is the same core narrative as the Bene Gesserit. So what is happening here? Why does this ancient narrative repeat itself throughout time, and why is it still relevant today, gripping the attention of so many? Well, it speaks to archetypal structures and the collective unconscious. Carl Jung described archetypes as universal symbols and ideas that emerge repetitively throughout different times and places. They emerge in our dreams, myths, religions, and cultural symbols, reflecting common themes and patterns that transcend individual psyches. The collective unconscious is where archetypes bubble up from. It can be thought of as the level of the unconscious that goes deeper than our personal unconscious. It's the part of our unconscious that contains our shared ancestral experience, which over time developed the human psyche to what it is today. It can be thought of as our shared psychological inheritance. So what is the archetypal motif of the messianic figure coming forth, bringing order and salvation, telling us? Well, it speaks to a very deep idea of transformational development. Jung often talked about the process of individuation. This, in essence, is the process of making the unconscious conscious. The ego is the conscious part of the personality. It's how an individual understands themselves. Therefore, development requires the individual to integrate the unconscious. This leads to wholeness within the psyche. It brings the totality of the psyche into congruence instead of there being division between the conscious and unconscious. The archetype of the self is what guides this process. This can be thought of as the archetype of archetypes. In essence, the self archetype represents the totality of the psyche, both the conscious and unconscious. The self is considered to be the ordering principle of the psyche and its full potential. This brings us back to the idea of the Kwisatz Haderach, the one who embodies unprecedented potential that can transform the world. The unconscious can be understood as having unknown potential for the individual and the collective, much like the concept of Kwisatz Haderach. In fact, Paul has a vision in which he sees himself die, and he hears the voice say, "Paul Atreides must die for Kwisatz Haderach to rise." What's so striking about this is that on the journey of individuation, the process of making the unconscious conscious, the ego goes through multiple deaths and rebirths. The ego, the conscious structure of the personality, has to contend with the unconscious contents that haven't yet been integrated. As it integrates these contents, the conscious personality as it understood itself ceases to exist. It goes through a kind of death, and a new ego structure is born, now containing the newly integrated unconscious contents. The ego is now a closer representation of the self archetype, the totality of the psyche, conscious and unconscious. This process continues until the ego structure has fully realized the self. This not only brings order and balance to the individual, but that individual can now lead those around them to the same process of development, finding not only salvation for themselves, but promising salvation to their community. In fact, the symbol of the voice in Dune and its connection to the idea of logos plays a crucial part in this process of individuation. This divine order in relation to the word and articulation can also be understood as the ability to make something conscious. Therefore, the self presses upon the ego, pushing it to grow, to integrate more of the unconscious. In other words, the mysterious voice of the unconscious compels the conscious to articulate it, to embody the dormant potential, making it conscious. This archetypal motif has existed within religion for millennia and is still presenting itself in the stories of the present day. It seems clear to me that it's a reflection of an essential process of development that we are all called to. Not only that, but it helps to understand the wisdom of these ancient ideas as far more than just outdated narratives. It seems they are guiding us to a process which promises salvation. You've been watching Archetypal Wisdom. Remember to like and subscribe. Stay wise.